My sister accidentally knocked over my $3,000 wedding cake because I refused to gift her a condo for her 21st. Oops, she laughed. My mom said, "You know how she gets when she's disappointed." I did not react. That evening, I canceled the lease cosign I filed for her last month and froze the moving fund. But the real shock came at 9:42 a.m. when they got a notice. The wedding wasn't extravagant, just intentional, clean, minimal, and paid in full. We didn't want flash, just one evening where things felt like they were supposed to. Simple linens, small guest list, sunset over the lake. I had saved for it down to the cent. No help, no contributions, no demands, except the cake, cha, 3 tiers, white and gold, sugar lattice and tiny lettering that read Liam and Leah. $3,000. More than I'd planned, but it was the only part of the whole thing that felt like indulgence. And after the year we'd had, I wanted one thing to feel like more than survival. She showed up late, of course. Kendra, my younger sister. Her hair still damp from the shower, heels too high for the lawn. She didn't bring a gift. She didn't say hello. She just walked toward the center of the reception, phone in hand, smiling like she'd been waiting for a camera to find her. She reached the cake table just as the staff began rolling it forward. She paused beside it, leaned her elbow on the table, adjusting something near her ear, an earring, maybe. Then her arm slipped. Her elbow caught the edge. A subtle nudge. The cake tilted, wobbled, and crashed. Frosting. Glass. Gasps. Then silence. Leah's dress caught the top layer. The cream-colored train now streaked with sugared flowers and buttercream. Kendra laughed. Just one word. Oops. No apology. No shock. Just a smirk like she'd dropped a napkin. A few guests chuckled nervously. One of them tried to scoop part of the cake back onto the table. Someone else reached for their phone. I didn't move. My mother appeared next to me. Flute of Prosecco in her hand. Voice soft, as always when she's deflecting blame. You know how she gets when she's disappointed. That's all she said. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "This is unacceptable." Just that. A shrug dressed up as sympathy. I didn't answer. Just stared at the mess on the floor, then turned and walked toward Leah. Later, in the guest bathroom of the venue, we were both bent over the sink trying to salvage the fabric. Leah dabbed quietly at her dress. "Was that on purpose?" she whispered. I looked at her in the mirror. The mascara under her eyes. The tremble in her hand. I didn't answer right away, just kept pressing the towel against the fabric. She asked me to buy her a condo. I said, for her 21st birthday. Leah didn't flinch, just nodded once, slowly. And when you said no, she ruined our cake. I paused. Not just the cake, I added. The last thread of obligation. That night, after everyone left, I sat alone in the apartment with my laptop open. The guest list tab still pulled up. So was the folder labeled Kendra, lease cosign paperwork, transfer receipts, escrow for her moving fund. $12,000. All ready to go. I didn't feel angry. Not really. Just clear. At 1:12 a.m., I made 2 changes. Removed my name from the lease cosign. Froze the moving fund account. Then I scheduled a notification for the morning. 9:42 a.m. Outgoing notice. I didn't send a message. I didn't need to. Not yet. This wasn't new. The cake was a moment. The condo was a symptom. The truth was older. Kendra had always had a way of wanting things just loud enough that someone else made them happen. Not directly. Never explicitly. But enough for the air to shift. Enough for Mom to tilt her head and say, well, it's her birthday. Or she's going through a phase. She didn't throw tantrums. She floated expectations. And somehow, everyone adjusted their behavior around them. When she was 16 and wanted a car, she never asked my parents. She asked me how hard it was to lease one. Left brochures on the kitchen counter. Sent me screenshots of used Mini Coopers with captions like, "Isn't this cute?" She got the car. When she failed 2 courses in college. She didn't apologize. She asked if I could help her write an appeal letter to keep her scholarship. I rewrote the whole thing. She got reinstated. I didn't even get a thank you text. But I got a follow-up email. She'd used the same format to ask for an internship with one of my old employers. She didn't just take help. She repurposed it, repackaged it as entitlement, and then rewrote the origin story so that it had always been hers. By the time she turned 20, I'd co-signed a lease, helped her avoid eviction after missing 2 months of rent, paid off a dental bill, and lent her enough money to cover a quick trip to Tulum that got a little more expensive than expected. All with the same line from Mom. She just needs a little help getting on her feet. It's been 5 years. She's still figuring things out. So when the text came a month before the wedding, I wasn't surprised. Thinking of moving to the east side. There's a condo I like. It's new construction. Mom said you might help with the down payment. She never asked. She assumed. The number she attached, $72,000. She said she'd pay me back within a year or two. She had no job, no savings. Her bank app once sent an alert while we were at brunch. Low balance, $3.14. And she just laughed and said, "Oops, guess that's lunch on you again." I didn't answer the condo text. She followed up with a TikTok of the unit, panning slowly over a marble kitchen and rooftop terrace. Caption: manifesting this. Please ignore my broke brother who's blocking the blessing LOL. That was the moment it shifted. Not because she insulted me. I was used to that. But because she made it public. She made me the obstacle. The villain in her story of deserving more. I talked to Mom 2 days later. I kept my voice calm, even though my chest felt tight the whole time. She posted that condo thing. I said, "It's not a joke anymore." Mom sighed. "Well, if you can help, I think it would really ease some tension. She's been feeling left behind." "I already co-signed her lease," I said. She said, "You didn't really help. I pay for the moving fund." She said that was your choice. There it was. The gap. The reframe. The selective amnesia. Every contribution erased unless it came with a smile, a ribbon, and silence. I remember the first time I learned to go quiet. I was 13. Kendra was 8. We were at the beach. She wanted my boogie board. I said no. She cried. I got grounded. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because she's younger, she's tired, don't escalate. So I stopped escalating. I stopped reacting. I learned that the less I spoke, the easier it was for everyone else. And over time, they mistook my silence for agreement, my politeness for permission, my boundaries for bad timing. The cake was never just a cake. It was her final performance. She didn't knock it over because she was clumsy. She did it because she didn't get what she wanted, and she knew there'd be no real consequence. No confrontation, no scene, just another sigh, another reshuffling of memory until the whole thing became a misunderstanding. But not this time. That night, when I froze the fund and pulled my name from the lease, it wasn't revenge. It was correction. A quiet, unshakable no. A closing of a door that had been left ajar for years. And still, I didn't text her. I waited. Because I knew the moment the notification landed, 9:42 a.m., they'd finally realize the brother they could always count on had stopped making himself available. The notice landed at exactly 9:42 a.m. I didn't watch the clock. I didn't need to. I heard the ping from across the room. A group text my mother had started months ago called Fam Updates. The message came from Kendra. "What is this? I just got an email from the leasing office saying the cosigner is gone." Seconds later, another message. "Did you cancel it? Are you serious?" Then a third. From Mom. "Sweetheart, I'm sure this is a mistake. Can we all please calm down and talk first?" That's when I got the call. I let it ring once, twice, then picked up. Her voice was already pitched high, defensive, hurt, but in that performative way where the real feeling is rage. "I'm standing in the leasing office, and they're telling me the cosigner is gone. Do you know what that means? I could lose this place." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explain. I just said, "Yes, I know what it means." A beat of silence. "You did this on purpose? You knocked over our wedding cake on purpose." Another pause. Shorter this time. She didn't deny it. "That's not the same," she snapped. That was a moment. I was emotional. "And I'm logical," I said. "So I made a logical choice. I don't continue to support people who disregard boundaries." She laughed. Actually laughed. "You're so dramatic. It was a cake. Get over it." Then she hung up. No apology. No responsibility. Just the same old dismissal, packaged now as "you're too sensitive." By noon, Mom showed up at my apartment. No call. No warning. Just the buzz at the front door and her voice over the speaker saying, "Please, we need to talk." I buzzed her in. Not out of politeness. Out of readiness. She stood in my hallway like she didn't recognize the place. Eyes darting over the bookshelves, the rug, the plant by the window, as if seeing it all for the first time. "You really went through with it." I didn't answer. She sat on the edge of the couch, purse clutched in her lap like it might run away. You've always been the reasonable one, the patient one. That's what made you special. She said it like it was praise. I heard it for what it was, control. And that's over now, I said. That version of me doesn't exist anymore. She blinked, like she hadn't expected that answer. Like she thought I'd cave once she arrived in person. You can't just abandon your sister. I didn't. I just stopped underwriting her life. Her voice rose for the first time. She's young. She's 21. She's your sister. And I'm your son. I said it slowly, clearly, so she couldn't twist it. And I'm done being the one who gets rewarded with silence for being responsible. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just stood, smoothed her blouse, and said, "Fine. I guess we all know where we stand now." Then she walked out. No hug. No parting words. Just the sound of the door closing behind her like a final punctuation mark. But the fallout wasn't over. That evening, I got a call from my cousin Jordan. We hadn't spoken in over a year. Just wanted to say, "I saw the thread, and I'm proud of you." I blinked. Thread? He texted me the link. Kendra had posted a story time on TikTok. Captioned, "When your brother sabotages your future because he's jealous of your glow up." 10 seconds of her fake crying, saying things like, "He left me homeless. He always hated me. He's never supported me in anything." And then, this is what happens when you outshine the golden child. The comments were a mix of outrage and sympathy, but none of them knew the truth. That she'd never been homeless. That she lived rent-free for months. That I'd covered every emergency without asking for a cent back. That the only thing I withheld was silence. Until now. I didn't post a response. I didn't text her. But I opened my old Google Drive. The folder labeled receipts, screenshots, emails, transfer records, lease cosigns, proof, all time-stamped, all archived, all untouched. Then I opened my email. Drafted a message to her future landlord. Subject, "For your records, prior agreements." Attached everything. With one sentence. "I am no longer financially or legally affiliated with Ms. Kendra, last name. Please see attached for context, should issues arise." Sent. No emotion. No threat. Just information. For the first time in years, I went to bed without checking my phone twice. No anxiety. No guilt. Just stillness. Because the thing they never expected wasn't rage. It was detachment. It was clarity. And it had arrived, exactly at 9:42 a.m. The story kept spreading. By Friday, the TikTok had over 600,000 views. She posted 2 follow-ups. One where she sobbed into a hoodie sleeve, talking about emotional abuse from a sibling. Another where she stood in front of an empty apartment, saying, "He pulled the rug out just as I was about to move in." No mention of the condo, or the cake, or the years of support that came with no strings attached. Just pain, packaged for clicks. I didn't respond. Not online. Not in texts. Not in group chats where cousins now whispered things like, "Hey, I'm staying out of this, but I hope you're okay." But silence has a weight, and mine was starting to fill the room. The final break came the following Sunday. We were invited to brunch at Mom's. A family reset, she called it. Leah didn't want to go. She knew. She felt it before I did, that this wasn't a reset. It was a reset for them, to restore the old dynamics. Me, quiet. Kendra, excused. Mom, the mediator. No one accountable. Just back to normal. But I went. Because I needed to be sure. Needed to see if there was any part of this family that still believed in truth, or just performance. The table was set with fresh flowers and fake grace. Pancakes, mimosas, tiny bowls of berries. As if hospitality could erase history. Kendra sat at the far end of the table, sunglasses on indoors. Mom moved around like a cruise director, offering coffee with a smile stretched thin. Dad was silent. He always was. No one brought it up. Not the cake. Not the lease. Not the viral videos. Not the message I sent her landlord, which, according to a cousin, had already caused the condo offer to fall through. Just scripted pleasantries. Until halfway through the meal, when Mom looked up, feigned a sigh, and said, "We've all made mistakes lately, but maybe it's time to forgive." The room held its breath. Leah touched my hand under the table. I felt the pressure of her fingers, not urging me to stay quiet. Not this time. Just holding steady, letting me decide. I set my fork down. "Okay, let's talk about mistakes." Silence. "Let's talk about what it means to destroy someone's wedding cake on purpose." Kendra rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, still with the cake." I turned to her. You asked for a condo. I said no. You destroyed the centerpiece of our wedding. That's not a tantrum. That's targeted. Mom cut in. She was upset. So was I. I didn't go online and fabricate abuse for attention. Dad shifted in his chair. Finally. This isn't the place. It's exactly the place, I said. Because this is where the manipulation lives. In the smiles, the gloss, the let's move on before anyone is held accountable. Kendra stood. You've always hated me. No. I protected you. I carried you. And you weaponized that. Her hands trembled, not from shame, from not getting her way. You made choices. No, I said calmly. I just stopped funding it. Leah and I left without finishing our food. As I walked down the steps of the house I used to call home, I realized something. No one had chased after me. Not Mom. Not Dad. Not even Kendra. And that told me everything. We drove in silence for a while. Windows down. The wind cutting through the heat. Then Leah said, softly, You didn't have to go, but I'm glad you did. I nodded. I needed to see it. One last time. To be sure. Are you? I looked at her. At the way her hand rested on mine. At the steadiness in her gaze. Yes, I said. I'm sure. A week later, we moved. A small house outside the city. Quiet neighborhood. No traffic. No guilt in the walls. I didn't tell anyone the address. I didn't invite anyone from that side to visit. I didn't update the group chat. I just let the silence keep speaking. Then something unexpected happened. One night, while cleaning out old files, I found a folder I hadn't opened in years. Letters. Handwritten ones from when Kendra and I were teenagers. She used to write me notes. Slipped them under my door. Little scribbles like, Thanks for picking me up. Don't tell Mom I failed the quiz. You're the best brother. I sat there on the floor, reading them under a lamp, and for the first time, I let the grief in. Not for the condo. Not for the cake. For the sister I used to know. The one who, for a brief moment in time, saw me not as a wallet or a witness, but as family. And I cried. Quietly. Completely. Then I stood, shredded the letters, and took out the trash. Some things aren't meant to be carried forever. The notice wasn't revenge. It was a legal update. A formality. The same way a final invoice arrives after service ends. Cold, procedural, impersonal. I didn't send it to hurt them. I sent it to remind myself I was done. But apparently, reminders sting harder than threats. At 9:42 a.m., Kendra called. I didn't answer. Then Mom. Then Dad. Then Kendra again. Then a message. We need to talk. This isn't you. This is her. I stared at the screen. Her? As in Leah? That's when it hit me. They weren't confused. They weren't sorry. They were just looking for someone else to blame. And since I wasn't bending, they found the next closest woman in my life to cast as the villain. Typical. I didn't reply. Not then. Instead, I walked to the edge of our new backyard, coffee in hand, where the wind was still cool and the city felt far away. I could hear Leah laughing on a call inside. Probably her sister. Something soft and ordinary and real. And I felt it. Not peace exactly, but the space where peace could grow. By noon, I finally replied. Not to Kendra. To Mom. Because I needed her to hear it from me. Not from TikTok. Not from Kendra. Not from voicemail. This isn't about Leah. It never was. You made choices. Kendra made choices. I made one too. I'm done enabling people who only love me when I'm useful. Please don't contact Leah again. If you want to talk, come as yourself. Not as her defense lawyer. She didn't reply. Not that day. 3 days later, she showed up. Unannounced. In our new driveway. Leah saw her first. I was fixing a fence post, hands covered in splinters and rust. I hadn't planned on confrontation in work boots and a hoodie, but maybe that made it better. No masks, no staging. Just two people who shared blood and nothing else. She got out of the car slowly, holding something in her hands. A white bakery box. Of course. I didn't say anything. Just watched. She opened it. Inside was a cake. 3 tiers. White frosting. Sugar roses. It wasn't a replica. It wasn't even close to our wedding cake. But it was her attempt. Her apology. I didn't know what else to do, she said. I thought maybe. I cut in. Why did you take her side? Her lips tightened. I didn't take her side. I just didn't want to lose both of you. So you chose the one who screamed louder. Silence. She looked down at the cake. She was always fragile. You were strong. That word again. Strong. Strong enough to give. Strong enough to take it. Strong enough to clean up after others. Being strong doesn't mean I don't hurt, I said. It just means you expected me to heal quietly. She winced. I'm sorry. I know, I said. But sorry isn't always enough. She blinked. Then she asked, is there a way back? It was the first honest question she'd asked me in years. And I didn't answer right away. I looked at the cake, at the cracked sugar roses, at the woman who raised me, and, somewhere along the way, forgot I was a person, not a provider. Finally, I said, not right now. Maybe not ever. She nodded. Didn't argue. Didn't cry. Just closed the box and walked back to her car. No final hugs. No guilt trips. No, after all I did for you. Just silence. The good kind this time. That night, I threw the cake away. Not out of spite. Out of mercy. Some things don't need to rot slowly in the fridge. Some endings deserve clarity. Later, lying in bed, Leo whispered, you okay? I thought about it. Thought about every version of me I had been for them. The fixer, the banker, the buffer, the silence. And I answered, for the first time in years, I think I might be. She pressed her forehead to mine. You didn't just leave them. You found you. And in the darkness, I smiled. Because it was true. And because I knew that whatever came next, I'd never hand over pieces of myself just to make someone else feel whole again.